Great peace, great peace, great peace. So men are outside working. All right. The women are taking care of the yards, taking care of the babies. All right. The young men are working on the cars. That is life in the inner cities. So I want to talk about two things right now that kind of is dismissing. It's kind of dismissing. Um where people are basically going with the narrative that, after watching the video with, Henry Gates, right? You know, the people named, Morgan Freeman, uh, Don Cheadle, Chris Rock, they're not somehow Native American. Well, what is Native American and who's testing the certain genomes that's in Native American, right? Of course they're not Native American, right? But this is what's missing. Um, when you look at certain things that kind of write a narrative for itself, when you're trying to figure out, well, why is it that this is this? Why is it that, you know, this has this? And I'm going to bring up these two things right here, sitting right here. I'm going to bring them up. And all you have to really realize is that when you look at a flag, you wonder, why is all the colors in a flag? Why is it that you have this color right here that can produce every color? This color right here on my skin, why is it can produce every color? There isn't a flag that says, it doesn't produce any color. All flags have color. Even European countries, they have color. So we have to use our logic, right? And let me get into this, right? Let me get into this. You see what she has on. You see what she has on. She has on a velvet headband, picks up the sweat, right? So if she's picking up sweat with her headband, it means she's doing a lot of walking, right? So you see this in the Mondo series where you have right here, right? Pocahontas. She goes from California all the way to Virginia, back and forth on a horse to discover peace talks. Well, now you have the United Nations, right? And you never see Pocahontas with the Pope. You never see Pocahontas with the Pope. All right, so you have another one here, and look at the color of it. It's like a very reddish, color. It almost looks like a reddish blood. It's very reddish, dark reddish. All right, so that's how she looks. She has a leather headband on, and look at how her hair is combed. It's hot combed. That's how I used to do my hair when I had the braid going in the center. And this right here, you look at this book, right? This is the Ojibwe language book, the dictionary, right? These are the words, right? Let's read one. Ogassiton. That's one. Ogassasoma. That's another one. Ojayase. So you see how it's pronounced. That's Ojibwe. Ojibwe is basically everywhere in America, but it gets its glory from being in the Midwest, but it's really everywhere in America because you can find that particular tribe related to nations in Africa, right? Ojibwe, what do you think of when you think of Ojibwe, right? You think of Congo, and Ojibwe just happens to be in Minnesota next to Chicago. So again, that play on words. You have families within the Congo who are Ojibwe. They may not know it, but of course they speak that language. They have words in that book right there that's in their language. May not have the same meaning, may or may not. But again, you quickly find out when you look throughout the vastness of the universe, you don't have to test someone for Native American ancestry. That's not really the thing. You're not testing someone who came after to see if they have your DNA. What you test is the fact what's around that person. There's many ways to do scientific testing. There's many ways to do that. And also through color. Also through objects. Many ways. Great peace. Yakoki. Allah Nawik.